Mon nom est Asma, je suis une des organisatrices de ce bureau. Notre bureau est dédié aux problèmes qui sont d'ordre de fiscalité religieuse. Et il y a plusieurs services que notre bureau aussi assiste, comme l'accès à la vaccination. Et donc, pour tous les gens qui voudraient être testés pour la COVID-19 ou qui n'ont pas encore reçu le vaccin de la COVID, vous pouvez donc visiter notre page. Nous sommes disponibles à New York. Et c'est la même chose pour le vaccin. Vous pouvez donc trouver les informations sur ce que nous faisons. Nous accompagnons aussi plusieurs cités qui n'ont pas encore été vaccinées. Mais en général, c'est vrai qu'on n'a pas beaucoup de temps. Je voudrais juste que tout le monde puisse connaître notre bureau, nos services et par rapport aux besoins dont vous avez besoin. Vous allez aussi avoir une liste de tous les programmes que nous donnons et aussi dans le système légal. Tous ceux qui sont connectés aux demandes d'identification. Notre page web, je l'ai juste mis dans le chat. Si vous allez voir qu'il y a un lien tout de suite dans la messagerie qui est le nyc.gov.covid-test. Vous pouvez donc aller visiter notre page et avoir toutes les informations.
Please pardon that little technical issue that we had to address.
Il y a juste des petits problèmes techniques.
Good afternoon.
Bon après-midi.
My name is Michael with the New
Mon
York
nom est
City
Michael
Department of Finance,
du département de finances
and
de New
I'm
York.
an outreach liaison.
Et je travaille dans
So
la
good to have so
liaison.
many of you gathered today to learn about how you
Beaucoup
can
d'entre
access
vous sont là pour apprendre comment avoir accès à l'exonération de la taxe fiscale religieuse. Et surtout, si vous faites des activités d'exemption, on voudrait juste mentionner qu'il y a un nombre d'organisations à base non-profit. Non juste pour l'organisation, mais aussi pour les individus qui travaillent dans ce secteur, qui sont dans le leadership de l'organisation.
Your personal property too may have availability.
Aussi, votre travail donc personnel en ce sujet, il y a aussi des informations disponibles. On voudrait juste partager avec vous le point de vue en termes des finances.
You should be seeing the
Donc, vous
Department of
devrez
Finance
voir
website.
Sur votre écran notre page.
Going to type into the search bar.
Si vous donc tapez sur la barre de recherche.
Clergy.
Par exemple, vous tapez le clergé.
And you can see here.
Vous allez
it gives
voir.
me the selection
qu'il y a une sélection qui vient,
where can I get information about
qui
the
dit où est-ce que je
exemption?
peux trouver les informations concernant
I'm gonna select
l'exemption cléricale. Donc, vous allez le voir maintenant, il est même déjà traduit en français.
On this page,
sur cette
you'll
page,
see the information regarding the clergy
vous allez
exemption.
voir les
And here are
informations
the basic
sur
requirements.
les exemptions à
If
caractère
you
religieux.
now, if you are now or ever been a full-time
Si
member of the
vous avez
clergy,
été
your
un
property
membre
is
de
not a
façon
cooperative.
partielle ou
The property is not held in a trust.
totalement
And
religieuse
this,
et que
your
votre
primary residence is located in the state of New York. And you are one of the following, either an active clergy member engaged in ministerial work as your principal occupation, a clergy member unable to perform such work due to illness or impairment, and medical documentation is required.
Donc,
a retired clergy member over 70,
critères. Si
or
vous
the
êtes
unremarried surviving spouse of a clergy member, you may be eligible for a property tax exemption, which will reduce the assessed value on your property. And then, as a result, your property taxes, as they're calculated, will also be reduced. Generally, it nets out to be worth about $250 in savings over the course of the tax year. So we wanted to make you aware of that. Also, you have the option to select on the website the language that you would like to receive this information or read this information in. At the top, you see a button here that says Translate. By selecting that button and then selecting the language that you'd like to read the information in, you can have it come up in that language. Here, we're showing it in French. And so that page that we just showed you, along with other information, is available in French, as well as many other languages. One more thing that we'd like to show you before we conclude is here in this middle section that says Ways to Save. If you select that, and then scroll down on this page to where it says property-related benefits and property owners, you'll find a chart of 7 different exemptions that you may be eligible for if you are a property owner. And this is for your personal property, your primary residence within the 5 boroughs of New York City. So, what we like to conclude with is this. There are many ways to save on property taxes. Please use the Department of Finance website as a resource and tool. But to get assistance with some of the more complex issues, maybe you've applied for an exemption but weren't successful. Perhaps you've tried to appeal or taken other actions without clarity or success. Our next presenter is from the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate, Marcel Dixon, will explain the benefits or the resources that are available to you from their office. And now let me stop sharing my screen.
Et là, je vais arrêter de partager mon écran.
Hi. Good afternoon,
bonjour.
As Mr. Sharp said, my name is Marcel Dixon.
Mon nom est Marcel,
I work in the
comme
office of the taxpayer advocate. In that office, I am the administrative coordinator, as well as the not-for-profit ombuds person in that office. So today, I just wanted to give a brief introduction of our office, the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate, and just let folks on this call know how we might be able to assist them when it comes to their DOF matters, right? So with not any further ado, what I'll do is that I will share a quick little PowerPoint that I have here.
Je veux donc vous présenter la présentation sur PowerPoint que j'ai présentée tout de suite.
All right.
Voilà, nous y sommes.
So, brief introduction to OTA. So this office is a recent office, so we're a little bit nascent, so to speak. The office was established in 2015. The Office of the Taxpayer Advocate. We help New York City residents with their tax issues after they've tried to resolve these issues with the Department of Finance on their own. So the office is an independent unit within the Department of Finance. The Taxpayer Advocate reports directly to the Commissioner of Finance. So, we're autonomous from the other agencies. So basically that enables us to do, very much good advocacy work without the limitations of being beholden to another unit or group, right? So we help taxpayers resolve problems with the Department of Finance, and OTA can recommend policy changes or request that the Department of Finance take action on behalf of New York City taxpayers, right? Our office ensures that the taxpayers are treated fairly according to the New York City taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which I have a link on this last page of the slide that Kate will share that you guys could read those Bill of Rights if you need to, right? So, in order to assist taxpayers, OTA has a number of case advocates, so individuals who work on our, cases, rent freeze ombudsperson. So those individuals who might be familiar with the SCREE and DREE program. So these are programs for renters or tenants who live in, rent controlled, rent stabilized apartments, or they might be a owner or a shareholder of a Mitchell-Lama or an HDFC co-op, which might qualify for the rent freeze program, or some of the exemption programs that might describe before, right? In addition to that, the office housed the not-for-profit ombudsperson, as I mentioned. And, we can assist with a bunch of matters here at Department of Finance that taxpayers have issues with, right? So we can assist with New York City business tax and excise taxes, so if you're a business owner and you have concerns, property taxes, exemptions, abatements, and as we mentioned, the rent freeze program, right? So if you have already tried to resolve your problem with the Department of Finance, right, below is a list of guidelines to consider before contacting OTA. And the reason why I say, to consider before contacting OTA is because we do not want to be the first stop on your, on your venture to resolving your matter with PLF, right? We intentionally want to be your last stop because we want to give the agency an opportunity, or those applicable units that you would need to contact or that you're trying to reach out to, an opportunity to resolve the issue that you're bringing to their attention, right? So as the first, bullet here explains, you've made a reasonable attempt to resolve your inquiry or complaint with the Department of Finance. Your inquiry or complaint has not been fixed, or you have not received a timely response, right? In addition to that, a couple other things to consider. You believe you can show that the Department of Finance is applying the tax laws, regulations, or policy unfairly, incorrectly, and or have injured or will injure your taxpayer bill of rights, right? So to give a quick little example, Mike mentioned all of those exemption programs that you might apply for, right? So say you got denied for one of these programs, and you believe that DOF calculated your income incorrectly, right? They counted something that should not have been counted. Let's make so you can come to our office, after you've tried to resolve this. We will review all the details that you provide, your income,
ce qui a été fait. On va revoir les documents ensemble et on va mettre ensemble les politiques et les lois pour pouvoir trouver où est-ce que le calcul ne correspond pas et où est-ce que nous pensons que les valeurs par rapport au règlement
In addition, you might face threat of immediate harmful action. So when we think about this, we're thinking about folks who might be, at risk of the lien sale, right? Getting your lien sold. So at those junctures, definitely, we can be the first stop that you might reach out to. You face a threat of immediate harmful action. So once again, thinking of the lien sale, you have a tax warrant against you levied because of business taxes or so on and so forth. Or you believe you can show that you will suffer damage that is beyond repair, a long-term harmful impact if your relief is not granted.
Et aussi de voir
the continuation of that, right? How we assist with those matters is that OTA will work with you to best achieve a resolution that's within the tax law. If necessary, we will determine the areas of DOF to speak with, and we will be an intermediary between you and the applicable unit that needs to be communicated with to make sure that there isn't any loss in translation or nothing is dropped, so that the matter that you've been trying to resolve, either it be for weeks or sometimes it can be months, does come to a satisfactory conclusion for all parties involved, right? And in lieu of working on the myriad of cases or items that a taxpayer might bring to us, right? We might notice that there are things that are a trend or things that are keep on occurring that should not be occurring, right? And we can think of those things as being systemic issues, right? Or recurring trends. And so OTA has a mandate that we can recommend policy changes and requests for action by the Department of Finance on behalf of our taxpayers, right? And so when thinking about that, we actually put out a list of recommendations every year. And here on the slide, there are a couple links where you can go and you can check out our annual reports at the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate, where you can get a glance of the kind of work that we do throughout a fiscal year. You see the cases we work on, how we work to resolve them, and also to see the policy recommendations that we have set forth that we would like to be addressed by DOF.
Et on aimerait donc être adressé par le département de finances.
So, how do you request for help from the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate?
So
what I'll do is that I'll share a link in this chat along with my email to the NFP Ombuds, where you can directly reach out to the NFP Ombuds for assistance or help, right? Or this link that I'll also share will bring you to a portal on our website for the Taxpayer Advocate, where one, you can read more about our office and gain some details about who we are and how we work, but also it will contain links on how to contact us. So there will be a link for the NFP Ombuds, there will be a link for the Screen Ombuds, there will be a link for the DRE Ombuds, as well as there will be a link for the Case Advocates.
Il y aura donc des liens aussi pour le plaidoyer des cas, il y aura un lien pour pouvoir nous contacter aussi. Et donc, vous pouvez donc avoir ces liens, vous pourrez être capable d'assister. Nous pouvons assister en ligne
What we do have is that folks can either contact 311 and request for an inquiry to be sent to the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate, or the other option is to fax us a narrative of the issue that you're having to our fax number that's provided here, which is 646-500-6907, and we can go ahead and open an inquiry or a case and then reach out to you to gather further details in regards to how we can assist here at the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate. So in short, what I want to say is that we're a resource here. Here at DOF, right? So if you have questions, you have concerns, you've been trying to resolve your tax matters with DOF, please come to us. We're a part of this system where we want to ensure that at DOF we're providing exemplary customer service, right? And
nous offrons donc un service exceptionnel et comment est-ce que nous pouvons faire ça? C'est juste en donnant une solution au problème que vous ramenez. Je serai disponible dans les chats, donc dans la messagerie, si jamais vous avez d'autres questions.
Actually, sorry, I need to pass it off to Ted.
Oh, je dois passer maintenant la parole à Ted.
Thanks, Marcel.
Merci, Marcel.
Thanks, everyone, for being here.
Merci à tout le monde d'être là aujourd'hui. C'est un plaisir d'être avec nous aussi. J'aurais bien aimé avoir eu l'occasion de mieux étudier le français dans le collège. Et s'il vous plaît, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à mettre ça dans la messagerie. Et je vais aussi mettre le lien pour
My name's Todd Oberman.
I'm
the Director of Commercial Exemptions and Abatements.
Mon nom est Ted Oberman.
Part of my job is managing not-for-profit exemptions, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here. Not-for-profit exemptions are granted for properties that meet a two-pronged test. The property must be owned completely and wholly by a not-for-profit organization, and the property must be used for one or more exempt purposes. Examples of exempt purposes are religious activities, hospital, educational, charitable, benevolent, and so on. These categories are listed in New York State real property tax law, and the sections are 420A and 420B. There are a number of religious activities that would qualify for an exemption. These include religious services, religious education, youth ministry, holiday events, marriage preparation and counseling, etc. To obtain a not-for-profit exemption from property taxes, the owner or its representative must file an application with the Department of Finance. Exemptions are not granted automatically when you purchase a property. There is an application online which can be filled out, scanned, and sent to DOF. It can also be mailed if you choose. Along with the application, the owner should also send in the articles of incorporation for the organization, if they exist, the bylaws, a copy of the deed, the organization's federal tax-exempt status, again, if it exists, and most importantly, a detailed use of the property. Religious organizations are not required to obtain federal tax-exempt status, also known as 501c3, as they are presumed to have that status by their structure. DOF can also grant exemptions if a property is not currently being used for an exempt purpose, but is contemplated for exempt use in the foreseeable future. To obtain an NFP exemption for what is called contemplated use, the owner should, in addition to the information listed above, provide detailed plans for the development of the property. These could include DOB, Department of Building Construction permits, architectural or engineering plans, proof of a building fund, and board resolutions authorizing the developments. If an exemption for contemplated use is granted, the owner must demonstrate annually that continual progress is being made towards the final use of the property. Once construction is complete, the owner will submit a new application detailing the actual use of the property.
Donc, une fois que la construction est finie, le
DOF
propriétaire
grants
devra aussi
exemptions for
soumettre une
housing
nouvelle application
only when it
dont
is
les
in
détails
furtherance
sur
of the
l'utilisation
underlying
actuelle de la
mission of the
propriété.
organization.
La DFO va donner donc l'exemption
Examples
pour
of
les
this
maisons
would
seulement
include
qui
student or faculty
soulignent la
housing
mission de
for a
l'organisation.
school,
Par exemple,
housing for doctors working at a hospital,
maison pour les
the
étudiants, un
officiating
département pour les
clergy
étudiants,
and caretaker of a house of worship,
ou pour
and
les
housing where
docteurs qui
supportive
travaillent dans un
services are
hôpital,
provided
qui ont
on site.
une mission religieuse.
There are a number of activities
Il y a un
that
nombre
do not
d'activités qui ne
qualify for a
qualifient pas
not-for-profit
pour le
exemption,
NFP
even if the
exemption,
property is
même
owned
si
by a
la
not-for-profit
propriété
organization. These include
appartient donc à une
renting to a commercial
organisation
entity,
non profit. Ça veut
renting to
dire
another
les
not-for-profit
propriétés
organization,
qui sont
and
louées à
making more in
caractère
income
à
than is
faire des
spent on
profits,
maintenance and
et ou une
depreciation of the
organisation
property,
qui fait
and
louer
using
encore à
the
une autre
property for
organisation
housing
et
for other
qui
purposes than those I
n'utilise
just
pas les
listed.
fonds pour la maintenance et ceux qui déprécient la
To
propriété.
keep an exemption, an
Pour garder
organization
une
must file
exemption,
an annual
l'organisation
renewal with
doit
DOF
remplir
and
annuellement
indicate if there are any
une
changes
application avec
in
le
the nature
département
of the
et
organization
indiquer
or the use of the property.
les changements qu'il y a eu dans la nature de l'organisation.
Exemptions can start as of the date of deed, provided that the property was purchased after August 2007. This is the result of the change in the New York State law.
Après, au août 2007,
Owners should
selon
submit
les
an
changements de la loi,
application as soon
les
as
propriétaires doivent donc
possible after
soumettre
purchasing
une
the property.
application le plus
If
tôt
DOF receives an
possible.
application
Si
within
le
a year
département
of the
reçoit
deed
une
date,
application
we
dans
will generally grant
la
an
première année
application if it's
de
approved
l'achat,
retroactively
il
to
y
the
aura
purchase
une
date.
approbation rétroactive à
If an
partir de la
application
date
is
de l'achat.
received later
Si
than that,
l'application
the applicant must
reçue
provide
après ces dates,
proof of the exempt activities that occurred
l'applicant
on
doit
the
donc
property to
prouver
be approved retroactively
les
to the deed date.
activités qui avaient lieu
Applications
avant
for
le
properties
contrat.
that were purchased
L'application
prior
pour les
to
contrats qui ont
August
été achetés avant
2007
août 2007
and those that
et
do
ceux qui
not
ne
demonstrate
démontrent
exempt use
pas
prior to the
l'usage
filing
qui
of the
s'est passé
application
avant
will only be
l'application.
granted to the date the application was
L'exonération
received.
va seulement commencer au moment de la
Exemptions can
réception de
cancel property
l'application.
taxes from the date of deed. They
L'exonération
cannot
peut
cancel property
être
taxes
annulée
that were imposed
si,
prior to the
par
date
exemple,
that DOF, that the NFP organization purchased the property. This means that if the prior owner did not pay charges and your organization bought the property with them, you are responsible for these charges. Additionally, external agency charges, such as sidewalk repair, Department of Health inspection fees, cleanup fees from the Department of Sanitation or the Department of Health, or any other external agency charges are not covered by the exemption, and they are the responsibility of the owner to pay.
le département
A
de
full
santé,
not-for-profit
le nettoyage et le département
exempt
sanitaire
property
aussi.
is not required to file the real property income and expense statements,
Une organisation
but
qui
a
reçoit
property
une
that is
exonération totale
partially
n'est pas
exempt must
obligé
do
de
so.
pouvoir remplir
Business
ce
Improvement
qu'on
District
appelle
charges, also
l'income
called
real
bid
property
charges,
et
are usually
les
waived
détails
for fully
des
exempt
dépenses.
NFP properties, but that is the discretion of the individual bid,
Mais ça, c'est
not
à
DOF.
la discrétion
A property can receive a partial exemption if a portion of the property is unused or used for a non-exempt activity, such as being rented to a commercial tenant. DOF calculates partial exemptions based on the square footage that is unused or rented. Usually, at this point, if people have more questions than I can go over, so I'm happy to turn it back and answer anything that comes up. Thank you very much.
La parole à tout le monde qui aurait des questions. Merci.
We'll just give a moment for the interpretation side to
juste un moment
catch up to our side.
pour que l'interprétation
Once
puisse
again,
commencer.
if you
Juste
have
encore,
questions,
si vous avez des
put them in the
questions,
Q&A
allez dans
at the bottom of the screen.
l'option
We will
Q&A
momentarily
et
be
nous
going through
allons
those
donc
questions
lire les
to
questions
provide information
et vous donner les
for you.
informations pour vous.
And we'll just give a moment for Kate
On va juste
to
donner un moment
be able to come back on
pour
and sort of orchestrate us
pouvoir
through that
revenir en
portion
ligne
of the
et
presentation.
donner sa partie de la présentation.
There is a question that's
Il y a
in
une
the
question
Q&A,
dans
if anyone has
questions et
an
réponses,
answer to that, which
s'il y a
is,
quelqu'un qui a une
our
réponse
mosque
à
has lost
cela,
revenue due to
qui parle de
closings.
comment est-ce que
Our
la
kids are
mosquée a
no
perdu des
longer learning in the
revenus
mosque.
dus à la
How can the
fermeture
city
et
help us be
nos
able to
enfants
open
ne
and
peuvent
pay our
plus
mosque
donc
staff?
aller continuer l'éducation religieuse à la
Does
mosquée.
anyone have
Comment
any
pouvoir
thoughts on this?
assister donc la mosquée à pouvoir ouvrir et payer
There seems to be, other than a tax question,
je pense que c'est beaucoup plus
regarding,
une
this
question
seems to be more related
taxe.
towards
Ça a
COVID
l'air de
benefits
beaucoup plus
and the
relié
like. So
au
as for the
COVID.
Department of Finance, I know we wouldn't weigh in on that. I don't know if anyone else on the
Notre
call
département n'est
would
pas
have
très
information regarding that.
familier avec la situation, mais s'il y a quelqu'un d'autre qui peut aider à pouvoir répondre à cette question.
This is some of the work that Briques and Mortels does do in terms of diversifying revenue and finding new tenants for people that own their buildings. So I think, this is something that we can speak with the person who wrote this further. But in general, finding another tenant to replace the school that was there would be a first way to think about it, or renting out the building are two general options in response to that.
Deux options différentes pour la construction. Ce serait aussi quelque chose à pouvoir
and I think that Ted wrote an answer also in the
Donc,
chat.
je vais aussi ouvrir le débat dans le chat, dans la messagerie, si vous voulez intervenir.
Ted, would you like to share with us if you have additional comments?
Si vous avez des commentaires additionnels, n'hésitez pas.
I just wrote the not-for-profit mailbox for the Department of
courriel de
So that is not-for-profit, one word, at finance.nyc.gov. No, I'm sorry, that's a little above my pay grade. So.
C'est juste aussi
All
un
right.
courriel par lequel vous pouvez nous contacter.
That would be, it sounds like that would involve services other than the type of tax things that we're discussing here, first and foremost. But between New York City and New York State, they should look into that and see what's available.
C'est comme une discussion qu'on pourrait avoir entre la cité de New York et l'État de New York.
Kate, are you seeing anything else in the Q&A that, even if we have written an answer, maybe we can reiterate some of those because some of the answers may apply to folks that they didn't write it, but they would like to know anyway.
Mr. Michael, I think there's two people in the attendee section that raised their hand. I'm assuming that they want to ask a question. It's honest Bakari Kamara. They can unmute themselves and ask the question if they would like to.
Si vous pouvez activer votre micro et poser vos questions.
This is Bakari Kamara.
Voilà, c'est Bakari Kamara.
Good afternoon, sir.
Bon après-midi.
My question is on a couple of areas.
Et sur un nombre de sujets.
First of all, to introduce myself just a little bit, I am a realtor. I do real estate sales and buying full-time. That's my full-time job.
Your question, sir?
Vous avez une question?
And we've been involved in trying to purchase facilities to avoid renting. And it's been very, very difficult.
Ça a été très difficile.
Not only with the city, but with the banks.
De pouvoir travailler non seulement avec la cité, mais aussi avec
I know
les
we're
banques.
dealing with the city and the tax exemption.
Je sais qu'on est en train de parler de l'exonération des fiscales.
Property, one particular entity on 168.
Entité particulière
we've had
sur le
a chance to
160.
purchase one two-family house next
pour avoir la chance de pouvoir
we purchased it now
nous avons eu la chance de pouvoir acheter trois appartements il y a 4 ans, mais nous n'avons pas été capables de pouvoir bénéficier de l'exemption fiscale.
A little bit at a time and trying to...
Et nous avons essayé un peu dans le temps.
When I approached the city,
quand j'ai appliqué donc la cité pour avoir les exemptions de taxes, pour pouvoir épargner et accumuler un peu plus de fonds,
it was utterly impossible.
C'était presque impossible.
Whatever document they asked me,
tous les documents qui m'ont été demandés.
And at the end, what they wanted me to do is to go and have a video conference where they could see the facility, how it looked.
Une vidéoconférence où ils pouvaient voir comment est-ce que
and then the day after that,
la construction où les propriétés se présentaient. Et quelques temps après, j'ai reçu un courriel qui me refusait l'exemption parce qu'ils ont dit que il devrait déjà être mis à jour et prêt à être utilisé.
Or something like that.
Ou quelque chose comme
so
ça.
Your question.
Et votre question.
In the meantime, we're paying $6,000.
Nous payons $6,000
is
comme
getting
taxe,
in the way of us being able to raise money.
Qui vend donc qui vend un peu à l'encontre de nous pour faire une levée de fonds par rapport à notre activité.
As long as the property is owned by us.
Donc aussi longtemps que les propriétés sont sous nous sommes propriétés de.
Let me just repeat to make sure that I'm clear on the question.
Je voudrais
you have a property that you've purchased and you need to have it renovated or worked on for its not-for-profit purpose or use. It's not there yet. And you're paying taxes without an exemption. So you want to know, is there any way that you can have the exemption in the meantime?
And it's
fully
owned
by the tax exempt corporation.
All right, I think, Ted, is this in your wheelhouse?
Je pense que ça, c'est son département.
So generally,
oui, c'est bien
in what I try to explain, we can grant an exemption for what's called contemplated use. However, you have to demonstrate that you will be using the property in the foreseeable future. And this is done because there was a long period of time where not-for-profits owned property and then didn't do anything with them. And of course, the issue is that neighborhoods, they become eyesores in the neighborhood, the not-for-profit corporation, because it's not required to actually renovate and do something with the property, holds on. Sometimes not in your case, but sometimes they're just looking to sell the property to a bidder. So the standard we use
Le
is
standard que
called
nous
the
utilisons,
foreseeable future. It's
c'est
actually a
celui
legal
qu'on
standard
appelle le foreseeable
in terms of
future, dans le
exemptions.
sens de pouvoir voir
Doesn't mean that it has to be tomorrow. It
contempler
doesn't mean it has to be
la
specifically in
mission
3
du futur.
years.
Ça ne doit pas
But what
être
it
demain, ça
means
doit pas
is
être dans
that there
3
is a
ans, mais
plan.
ce qui veut dire, c'est
And then
qu'on
that
devrait avoir
plan,
un
which we
plan,
review on
et
an
dans le
annual
plan que nous
basis,
avons,
once you have an
que
exemption,
nous revoyons
you're working
annuellement,
towards that.
Vous
So
travaillez
if you
sur ça.
submitted an application
Si vous
to
avez
us
soumis une
and there were no
application, vous nous avez soumis une
plans,
application,
there
il
were
n'y
no
avait pas de
permits,
plan, il n'y
there
avait
were
pas
no
de permis,
architectural or
il n'y
engineering
avait pas
firms,
de
there's no board
détails de
resolution, there's no building
construction, il n'y
funds,
avait pas de,
we're not going to grant an exemption because we don't really have
on ne
confidence
pourra pas vous
that
donner
you can
une
actualize, you
exonération
can
parce que
get
nous ne
this
sommes pas
project
assurés
done.
que vous avez ce projet en marche.
I know that this is a bit of a
Je sais que c'est un peu difficile,
significant difficulty
et
because
c'est une
some people buy property and then they want to renovate it, but they don't have the resources,
ils voudraient bien
and the
rénover, mais ils
taxes
n'ont
just
pas
make that harder.
des ressources.
But
Et
this is the
les taxes
standard,
mettent ça
and
juste
it is very
difficile, mais
uniformly
nous avons un standard uniforme
applied throughout the
qui
city.
s'applique sur toute
So
la cité.
I think when we asked
Et je
for the
pense donc quand on
video
demande pour la
inspection,
vidéo,
we wanted
l'inspection
to
de
determine
vidéo,
if
nous voulons
there was
déterminer
any
s'il y
current
avait
use, since
une
you hadn't demonstrated
utilisation
contemplated
courante
use,
depuis que
so that
vous
we
avez
could grant the
démontré
exemption.
une utilisation contemplative.
I don't
Donc,
really know how to
je ne sais
answer
pas
the
vraiment
question,
comment
except that
répondre à cette
once
question,
you
à
have
l'exception qu'une fois que
some sort of
vous
proof
avez
that you are really making steps towards getting
façon
this
de pouvoir,
property ready, then we can certainly grant a contemplated
une
use
sorte de
exemption.
preuve pour pouvoir montrer l'utilisation future de ces propriétés. Vous pouvez être qualifié pour l'exonération. Si je dois faire un suivi,
is it okay?
est-ce que ce sera bon?
Sure, of course.
Bien sûr.
Okay. In our case,
dans notre cas,
all of the above
tout ce qui a été dit
present except the
est présent, sauf les fonds de pouvoir rénover.
Was in a sense a property that was not in conformity. It was
dans le sens que c'était pas une propriété en conformité.
Stabilization of
Ça avait
foundation.
besoin de beaucoup de fonds de stabilité, et nous
And
travaillons
we have
sur
the
ça.
architecturals.
Et nous avons les détails des architectes, nous avons les plans, nous avons tout ça, et ça aussi été soumis. Nous n'avons juste pas les fonds de construction pour pouvoir construire. Mais une fois que le département donc nous exonère,
which are all cleared now, and the foundation is stabilized, and everything else is done. Once those is clear, our next step will be to renovate.
La prochaine étape sera la rénovation. Et en même temps,
annually,
les $6,000 annuellement, il est vraiment paralysant pour nous.
Did you have a class 1 violation?
Est-ce que vous avez
Did you have a class 1 violation on the property?
Une violation de première classe sur la propriété?
I don't know what a class 1 violation is.
Je ne sais pas ce qui est la
like a stop work order or something where there was a hazardous immediate response required. That's usually what class 1 violations are. If that's the case, okay. So what I would say is, I think you have the not-for-profit email, and you have Marcel Dixon's email as well. I would send that information. He's from the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate. He's the ombudsperson for not-for-profits.
Mr. Kamara, I was just about to send you a message actually the BPL, but what you should do is just send me an email and I'll review and also send me the letter. And then we can provide you with more clear information on what your next steps would be. If changes since you previously applied. If you can
Is that Famudu?
Can I be heard?
Marcel Dixon. Marcel Dixon.
C'est Marcel Dixon.
Okay,
Marcel,
great.
your information
We'll
is in the chat, isn't it?
Et si vous
Yeah, it's in the
regardez
chat.
sur la
Everything is in the
messagerie,
chat.
nous vous
Just
avons
send me an
envoyé
email
toutes
with all
les
your details, the property
informations.
details. We'll
Envoyez-nous
review and get
donc
back to
tous
you
les
with,
détails
with the
et
more
nous
one-on-one
allons
discussion.
revoir les choses avec vous.
Great. I will
Merci.
follow up with that.
Je vais revoir avec vous. Je veux suivre
I'm
avec
not
vous.
taking too much of your time.
Je voudrais pas prendre très longtemps de votre,
The other
de votre temps.
difficulty
L'autre
with the
difficulté
properties
sur la
that the
propriété,
masjids are trying to purchase
sur
is
ce que nous avons essayé
the
d'acheter.
funding part of it.
Les
You want
fonds,
to
la
purchase
disponibilité
on
des
the
fonds.
not-for-profit corporation.
On voudrait
The
acheter sur une
amount of funds
corporation
you
non
have to
lucrative.
accumulate in
Le
order to be
montant
able to do
des
that
fonds que vous devez accumuler
is
pour être
paramount.
capable de le faire,
Most of them can't afford that.
c'est
For
presque un
example,
montant
you're purchasing a property that's
irréalisable.
$1.5 million.
Si par exemple
And
vous
for you
achetez
to
une
be able
maison
to
de
put
1,5
it
million
in the name of the not-for-profit
pour
at
que vous
very
puissiez le mettre au
onset,
nom
you
d'une
would have to
organisation non
require to put
lucrative,
down
vous êtes
35%.
demandé à pouvoir mettre 35%
And
de l'achat.
most of them don't have that
Et la plupart de
35%.
nous n'avons pas
And
35%.
in a sense,
Dans le sens
not having that, not being
de ne
able
pas
to
avoir
purchase,
ça et
we
ne
have
pas être
masjids
capable
that
de
are
pouvoir
paying
acheter.
5,000 to 10,000 a month in
Nous devons, après ce moment,
and
payer
expenses
5 à 10
that
000 dollars
could
par
be
mois
very,
comme
very low if we're
dépenses
able to purchase
qui
our
pourraient
own
être très
properties.
bas
Is there
si
any
on était capable de
idea,
pouvoir
any incentive in that
acheter
area that you could
les
share with us?
propriétés.
For purchasing properties?
Pour
You mean
l'achat des
for
propriétés,
providing funds to purchase
vous
properties?
voulez par rapport à avoir les fonds pour pouvoir acheter une
Not
propriété,
providing funds,
pas
If I may interrupt for
donner
just
des
a
fonds.
second,
Si je peux vous
we have some
interrompre.
background noise. I just encourage everyone, please, to
Nous
mute
avons
if you're not
bruits
presenting
de
information.
fond. Donc, si vous ne
There's some
présentez pas,
background noise
merci
that's
de
sort of
pouvoir muter,
preventing us from hearing this gentleman clearly.
muter
So
votre
if
micro
you
pour
could
que l'on
just kindly
puisse
mute your microphones
écouter
if you're not
la personne qui
presenting.
parle pour que l'on puisse avoir un meilleur son.
Thank you.
Merci.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
Oui, vous pouvez y aller.
in a sense, what I'm talking about
Le
is
sens
that
auquel je parle est que
the organization have individuals who could
l'organisation a
guarantee
des
the loan
individus qui peuvent
to purchase the property.
garantir de pouvoir
However, when that
acheter
happens,
une
it's
propriété. Mais
almost
ce qui
impossible
arrive, c'est
now
que c'est presque
to
impossible
render this
maintenant
property to be not for profit
pour pouvoir
unless it's paid off
rendre cette propriété non
be given to the
lucrative, à moins
corporation
que ce
as
soit
either gift
totalement
or something
payé.
else. How do we work around this?
Comment est-ce qu'on peut travailler autour de cette question?
I only know that
Je sais
I don't know
que
all of the financing
je sais pas
mechanisms
tous
because that's
les
not really
mécanismes des
the
finances,
job for
parce que
me
c'est
to
pas
grant an exemption.
notre
What I do know is
département
that property must
pour
be
les
wholly and completely
exonérations.
owned by a not-for-profit
Tout
corporation.
ce que je sais, c'est que
So I would.
la
There's
propriété
certainly a
doit
number of law
être
firms that might be able to
totalement
assist
sous
you.
le
I
nom
can't
de
recommend any,
l'organisation
but there
non
are what they're
lucrative.
called tax certiorari firms,
Je ne sais pas s'il y aurait
and they might be able to do pro bono work to assist. Maybe Briques and Mortels might be able to put you in touch with people. I'm not sure, but I can't really speak as to how someone should structure their financial arrangements for this.
Des finances de l'exemption par rapport à ça.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ted, and thank you, sir, for those questions. I'm sure there are others on the line that benefited from that information as well.
Et je pense qu'il y en a beaucoup qui ont bénéficié
What
de
else
ces
do you see in the
informations.
Q&A that
je
needs
disais
to
dans
be addressed
dans
or
les
could be
questions et
addressed for the
réponses.
audience? Can someone lean in and just give me a little assistance with that? I'm not the best on that side.
Si quelqu'un a besoin d'assistance, il y a quelque chose dans la messagerie questions et réponses. Vous pouvez aussi aller voir.
Are there any more questions that
Est-ce qu'il y a
we haven't
d'autres
addressed?
questions?
It looks like in the Q&A, there's a question
Je
that
pense qu'il y a des
says,
questions
a
dans
house
la
of worship with
question-réponse.
501c3
Comment est-ce qu'une
status
maison
has an area in the
d'adoration qui
building
a
that
le
can be
501
rented?
CD, le
Would
statut,
it be necessary to have partial
et qui
exemptions
a
on
une
that
construction
space? I
qui
hope
peut
I'm understanding that question correctly.
louée.
I think I understand it. So I think what
Est-ce
they're
que c'est
asking is if they
possible, c'est
were to
nécessaire de
rent
pouvoir
that
avoir une
portion of the
exemption
property, would
partielle
that become
dans cet
taxable and
espace?
the building would no longer be wholly, or the
Je
property would no
comprends la
longer be
question,
wholly
mais,
exempt, but partially exempt?
mais
The answer to that is it
pour avoir une
depends.
exemption
If you rent to a
partielle,
commercial
ça
entity,
dépend de si vous faites louer
say
à une entité
Starbucks or
commerciale
McDonald's or
cet
whatever,
espace, par exemple,
then the
de la
property,
nourriture,
that portion of the property would become taxable.
Cette
If you
portion,
rent to another qualifying
cette portion
not-for-profit
d'espace sera
organization,
taxable.
that would be
Si vous
an
faites louer
organization
à
that,
une
if
autre
it applied, would
organisation non
qualify in its own
lucrative,
right,
dans le sens
and
où
you
s'ils
made no
appliquent eux-mêmes, ils seront
income on that
qualifiés pour,
portion of the
pour
property,
une exonération, et que
meaning
vous-même, vous faites
no net
aucun
income,
revenu
meaning
sur
if
cet
you,
espace.
let's say the
Ça
rent for
signifie
that
par exemple
property
que
was $5,000 a month,
le loyer pouvait être
but your
comme
maintenance and
5 000
depreciation of that property, of
dollars
that
par
portion of the
mois,
property,
et
was
vous avez fait
5,000,
certaines
then
dépréciations,
you would not have to pay
et à ce moment-là, vous n'allez pas avoir
tax
à
on that.
payer
If,
sur les
however,
taxes.
you rent
Si
it to a not-for-profit
vous
organization and
vous
you
l'avez
charge
fait
them
louer à
more
une non
in rent than the
lucrative,
maintenance and
et
depreciation,
par exemple,
then you would
vous
have
avez
to
fait
pay.
louer à
So
plus que la
two things: renting to
dépréciation
a
et la
commercial
maintenance,
entity would make
à
you
ce
taxable.
moment-là, vous allez
Renting to
payer.
another not-for-profit
Donc, il
and
y a
charging
trois
more
cas. Donc, si
than
vous
your
le
maintenance
faites
and
louer à une
depreciation
entité
would also make you
commerciale, si vous le
taxable.
faites louer à une organisation non
Ted,
lucrative,
can I ask
et
a
le
follow-up
montant
question
auquel
on
vous
that?
le faites, pour lequel vous
Sure.
le faites
So
louer.
when in a case like that, when
Si je peux
they're
demander dans les
applying
cas
for
comme
the
ça,
exemption,
si ils appliquent pour
what would
l'exemption,
they provide
qu'est-ce qu'ils
to
devront
show you
soumettre
for you to be able
pour
to
vous
determine or to
démontrer
make that
ou pour que
determination?
vous puissiez les
Well,
aider,
they would
vous puissiez
provide
déterminer
the information for the
l'exonération. Ils devront donner des
renter.
informations
So I
sur
would need the same
le
information,
locataire.
the articles of
Donc,
incorporation,
les mêmes
the bylaws, 501c3
informations
status
qui
if
sont
it
par
had it,
rapport au règlement,
the use of the property, and then
l'utilisation
I would need
de
a
l'espace,
copy
de la
of the
propriété,
lease,
une
and
copie
then
du
they would provide
contrat.
to us a
Ils vont
list of
aussi
expenses and
donner
depreciation,
une liste
and then
des
we would
dépenses
compare the
et
two.
de la
If there's no net
dépréciation, et
income,
nous allons
then we would
comparer
grant a
s'il n'y
full
a pas
exemption.
de
If there was net income,
revenu
then it would be a
net.
partial
Et
exemption,
si, par
and
exemple,
it
on
would be
voit qu'il y a un
partial based
revenu,
on the
il y
amount of square
aura
footage
une
that
exemption
was being
partielle qui
rented.
sera donc, ça va
Meaning,
dépendre de
if it's
l'espace
a
qui est
20,000 foot
mis en
building
location.
and 2,000 square feet were being rented,
Et si
they
c'est par
would get,
exemple
which was not
3 000
exempt,
pieds ou
they would get a
200 000 pieds
90% exemption,
qui
and they would have to
peuvent
pay
être,
taxes on
qui
10%.
sont par exemple utilisés.
That
Dans
list
ce
that
cas,
they
ils pourraient
provide,
être
is it a part of
taxés
any
à
tax
10%.
return or simply
Est-ce que
part
ça
of their
fait
accounting
partie
information?
de tout retour de taxes?
So the 990 has information about this. We generally don't use the 990 because it shows profits when a profit may not actually
Parce que
exist.
parfois, il peut montrer
What we
des
do
profits
is
où il y a
they
des
would
profits
submit
qui
this
n'existent pas.
information. They
On
would
essaie
just
de
have to
mettre
compile
cette
the information about maintenance and
juste
expenses and
de nous
depreciation.
montrer
So, for
la
example, what
dépression
many places
et
do
les
is
dépenses.
they take their total
Ils
expenses
pourraient mettre donc
and they
total de
provide it
leurs
to us
dépenses
with the
et
square
ils
footage that's
nous
being
envoient
rented.
ça
We simply
avec
take
les
10% of their total
dimensions qui
expenses,
sont en
and that
location,
becomes
et à ce
the
moment on
basis
pourrait
that we
voir
use. Depreciation is a slightly
l'utilisation
different
et
formula.
faire
It's based on
un 10%
it's based on a couple of things. I don't
et
really
la
want to give
dépréciation
too much
est
advice
basée
about it,
sur
but
plusieurs
it has
facteurs.
to do with the purchase price of the
Ça
building
doit commencer avec
and a
le
27
prix
and
de
a half year
l'achat
scale where you're allowed to
puis,
depreciate the assets
les années
as you're doing that. So let's say you bought a building for $2 million.
Si vous avez, par exemple,
you're
une propriété de
renting
2 millions de dollars,
10% of it,
vous faites louer
you would
10% de
take
cet espace, vous allez
$200,000
prendre
and you would divide that
$200,000,
by
vous allez
27 and a half, and
diviser
that would be
par
your depreciation on an annual basis. That's a
27,5 et
very
ça sera
sort
votre
of basic way
dépréciation.
of thinking
Ça,
about
ce serait juste
depreciation.
une façon basique de pouvoir
Well,
penser
thanks
à
for
la
the additional
à la
information, Ted.
dépréciation. Merci pour cette
Kate or
information.
Ali, are you seeing anything else that
Kate ou Ali, est-ce que vous voyez quelque chose d'autre?
we haven't covered there?
I don't see anything, but final call for other questions.
Je ne vois pas quelque chose, mais c'est
I
un
think we
appel pour
have
d'autres
somebody
questions.
in the attendee section. I think Anna's Blackmon.
Je vois qu'on a
I
quelqu'un
think
d'autre
she has
dans
raised
les
her hand. I don't know
participants
if she has a
qui avait
question to
aussi
ask.
levé la main. Je ne sais pas si elle aurait une question à poser.
Agnes?
I guess we could proceed.
Je pense qu'on peut continuer.
Did anyone else have a question?
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un d'autre qui a une question? Soyez libre de pouvoir le mettre sur l'option questions et réponses Q&A.
My hand keeps raising. I don't mean to raise.
Okay.
Je ne voulais pas lever ma main.
And just to mention that Bricks and Mortals, speaking about the question before, can also work with congregations or others who are looking to move from a rental space to a more permanent space, to strategize on the best ways to do that. So please reach out to us to have those conversations, or if you own a space and are looking to find renters for those spaces also.
Voulez trouver aussi des locations ou des locataires pour certains espaces.
Chat,
on a mis notre courriel dans la messagerie.
If there are no questions,
si vous avez d'autres questions, vous
our
pouvez toujours
conclusion.
aller. Sinon, nous allons conclure aujourd'hui.
Do any of the panelists have final thoughts before
Est-ce qu'il y a nos
nos
intervenants qui ont d'autres choses qu'ils voudraient ajouter?
I do not have any questions. I just want to thank everybody.
Je n'ai pas de questions, mais je voudrais donc remercier tous les partenaires et aussi remercier les participants qui ont participé à cette session. J'espère que cette session vous a donné des informations nécessaires et je vais m'arrêter là. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Merci à tout le monde d'avoir participé. Merci d'avoir partagé aussi vos connaissances avec nous. J'espère que ce sera très utile. Gardez contact avec nos bureaux. Dans les chats, vous avez nos informations. Vous pouvez donc nous contacter à Briques and Mortels et nos contacts ont été partagés avec vous. Merci.